So, what happens when one of the planet's most grueling endurance challenges smashes right into a week-long global festival? Well, today, we're going to dive into the Clipper race and this incredible story of how one city rolled out the red carpet. All right, let's just start with a question for you. Picture this. You're racing a high-performance yacht 40,000 miles around the entire world for nearly a year. Okay, now imagine doing all that with zero sailing experience. Sounds absolutely crazy, right? Well, believe it or not, that's the whole idea behind this one-of-a-kind race. And this is what that adventure really looks like. We're talking about a race that takes everyday people, nurses, teachers, software engineers, and through pure grit and determination, turns them into ocean racers who are ready for literally anything the planet can throw their way. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of what many people call one of the absolute toughest endurance races in the world. So, what really makes this race so special? Well, here's the thing. It's not for the seasoned pros. Nope. This is the only event on the planet where regular, everyday people, amateurs, are the stars of the show. After some seriously intensive training, they learn everything from storm survival to fixing stuff in the middle of nowhere. They set off to sail all the way around the world. And get this, they do it on identical 70-foot yachts. So it's a totally level playing field. It all comes down to teamwork and just pure raw grit. And to help you wrap your head around that 40,000 nautical mile journey, that's almost 75,000 kilometers. That is a huge distance. It's like sailing around the entire planet at the equator and then doing it almost all over again. Just wow. And the numbers behind this thing are just as mind-blowing. The race has been going since 1996, and it takes pretty much a whole year to finish. Each time it runs, you've got about 250 people from over 50, that's 50, different countries taking on this massive challenge. It's literally a floating global village out there on the ocean. But look, this race isn't just about battling giant waves on the open ocean. The moments when the fleet actually pulls into port, those are a huge part of the story. So let's zoom in on a really historic stopover that happened in a city called Tongyeong in South Korea. And this wasn't just, another port of call. No way. This was a historic moment. It was the very first time the Clipper race, or any round-the-world sailing event for that matter, had ever stopped in Korea. This literally put Tongyeong on the global sailing map. And, the connection was personal too. One of the yachts was actually named Gyeongnam Tongyeong for the region. And its captain, a 24-year-old named Lori Borman, she just said it perfectly. She called the city their home before they'd even seen the shoreline. So when the sailors finally arrived, they didn't just find a quiet dock to tie up to. Oh no. The entire city basically erupted into this week-long festival they called Port Week. It was this incredible celebration where the grueling race hit pause and a massive cultural party took over. And wow, was the schedule packed. From the second the boats pulled in, it was just a whirlwind of events. You had people getting to tour the yachts, a huge fan zone, festivals, all leading up to this really emotional departure ceremony when it was time to start the next leg. Really, this whole stopover was about so much more than just sailing. It was this amazing fusion of global and local culture. The week was just jam-packed with stuff like music festivals, film festivals. You could even try racing little remote-controlled yachts. Plus, they had traditional Korean games and, of course, a massive fireworks show over the harbor to top it all off. But at the heart of the whole festival was something everyone, and I mean everyone, can connect with: food. They had this thing called the port table, and it was this huge celebration of food. See, Tongyeong is world famous for its seafood, so this was the perfect chance for local chefs to show off and put a new spin on classic dishes. The sailors and all the visitors got a real taste of the region. So you might be wondering, why would a city go through all this trouble? What's the real payoff for hosting a massive global event like this? Well, the numbers pretty much tell the whole story. Now, we don't have the specific data for Tongyeong, but if we look at a similar stopover in Scotland, you can see the kind of incredible exposure a host city gets. We're talking over 1,300 media mentions, a potential readership of 174 million people, and 23 million impressions on social media. It is an absolutely massive global spotlight. So at the end of the day, it's so much more than just a boat race. Hosting the Clipper race is this incredibly powerful platform. It brings in tourists because it puts the city on a global stage, it creates business for local hotels and marine companies, and it builds this amazing, genuine cultural exchange between the crews from all over the world and the people who live there. But that party on shore, well, it can't last forever. For these crews, the celebration has to end. And that's because what's waiting for them out on the water, it's the single biggest, toughest challenge of the entire race. You see, the departure day is just filled with this incredible energy and emotion. You have the crews, they're rested, they've been celebrated, and now they're parading through these massive cheering crowds. There's this feeling of pure excitement and hope in the air as they get back on their boats, ready for whatever's next. But just a few hours later, this is their new reality. The cheering crowds have vanished. All that's left is the roar of the ocean. The comfort of solid ground is just a memory, and that ultimate test of endurance, it begins all over again. And this next leg of the race, it's legendary. It has a nickname, the Big One. We're talking a brutal, non-stop 5,000 nautical mile race straight across the North Pacific. This is one of the most remote, most notoriously stormy oceans on Earth. For almost a month, there's nothing but extreme weather, massive waves, and absolutely nowhere to hide. I mean, the contrast is it's unbelievable. The stopover in Tongyeong, that was all about celebration, culture, and getting some much-needed rest. The North Pacific crossing? That's about isolation, endurance, and straight-up survival. You go from cheering crowds to roaring seas, from delicious warm food to freeze-dried rations. It is a complete 180-degree flip in your entire world. And that right there, that captures the very soul of the Clipper race. It's this incredible, extreme swing between deep human connection and just profound isolation. So it really leaves us with one last big question. After a week of being treated like heroes, of celebration and connection, how on earth do you flip that switch in your head and prepare to face the big one?